Good afternoon. This is All India Radio and I'm Anuja Kumar with the Midday News. The headlines. Telangana Cabinet proposes dissolution of the State Assembly. Supreme Court strikes down partly Section 377 of the IPC which criminalized gay sex. 2+2 dialogue between India and the US underway in New Delhi. President Ramnath Kovind meets Bulgarian Prime Minister Boyko Borisov, also unveils a statue of Mahatma Gandhi in Sofia. India Meteorological Department forecast heavy to very heavy rainfall across Odisha in next 24 hours. The 6th edition of the biennial Bengaluru Space Expo, showcasing industry participation in Indian space program, begins in Bengaluru. And in US Open, Novak Djokovic enters men's singles semi-final, defeating John Millman of Australia. Telangana state is likely to go for early polls ahead of its elections due next year. It is learnt that the Telangana State Cabinet has resolved to dissolve the State Assembly. The State Cabinet met under the chairmanship of Chief Minister Chandrasekhar Rao today and passed a resolution to this effect. The Chief Minister and ministers are leaving in a bus to meet Governor E.S.L. Narasimhan at Raj Bhavan. From there, the Chief Minister will go to Telangana Rashtra Samiti Party office in Banjara Hills, where he will address a media conference. The Supreme Court today partly struck down Section 377, the penal provision which criminalized gay sex. A 5-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court today unanimously decriminalized part of the 158-year-old colonial law. The bench, headed by Chief Justice Deepak Mishra, termed the part of Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code which criminalizes unnatural sex as irrational, indefensible and manifestly arbitrary. The bench, which also comprised Justices R.F. Nariman, A.M. Khanwilkar, D.Y. Chandrachud and Indu Malhotra, struck down Section 377 as being violative of right to equality. The Supreme Court said other aspects of Section 377 dealing with unnatural sex with animals and children remain in force. The first ever India-US 2+2 dialogue is underway in New Delhi. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman are holding the dialogue with US Secretary of State Michael Pompeo and US Defence Secretary James Mattis. Issues like enhancing trade, ways to counter terrorism, and India's concerns over the Trump administration's decision to make changes to the H-1B visa program are expected to figure in the dialogue. Our correspondent, quoting official sources, reports that U.S. sanctions on the import of Iranian crude oil and boosting cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region will also be the focus of the talks. Earlier, Mrs. Swaraj met Mr. Pompeo ahead of the dialogue. In a tweet, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Ravish Kumar said Mrs. Swaraj had a productive meeting with Mr. Pompeo. He said the two sides took stock of impressive strides in the bilateral relationship and discussed steps to take the relationship to an even higher trajectory. Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman also held a bilateral meeting with US Secretary of Defence James Mattis prior to the 2+2 dialogue. Mr. Pompeo and Mr. Mattis will also jointly call on Prime Minister Narendra Modi this evening. President Ramnath Kovind met Bulgarian Prime Minister Boyko Borisov. He also unveiled a statue of Mahatma Gandhi in Sofia. Mr. Kovind presented to the Bulgarian President, Mr. Roman Radev, a copy of Mahatma Gandhi's book, Hind Swaraj. President Kovind will depart for the Czech Republic for the third and final leg of his journey in the afternoon.
President Ramnath Kovind will be leaving for Prague in a short while from now. The high point of his visit to Bulgaria has been the decision to upgrade the trade and investment ties with Bulgaria. President Kovind also made a strong plea for Bulgarian business community to come and explore possibilities offered by India in its fast-expanding innovation and knowledge economy. Rajesh Jha, AIR News, Sofia, Bulgaria.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. The India Meteorological Department has issued a warning that extremely heavy rainfall is very likely to occur in Odisha during the next 24 hours. In a weather bulletin today, the Met Department said that satellite images indicate that a depression has formed over Northwest Bay of Bengal and adjoining West Bengal and North Odisha coasts. Rainfall at most places with isolated heavy to very heavy falls are also very likely to occur over Jharkhand and Gangetic West Bengal during the next 24 hours. The Met Department also forecasts squally winds reaching 40 to 50 kilometers per hour along and off the West Bengal Odisha coast. The sea will be rough to very rough in this coastal region, and fishermen have been advised not to venture into Northwest Bay of Bengal and along and off Odisha and West Bengal coasts during the next 24 hours. The 6th edition of the biennial Bengaluru Space Expo was inaugurated by ISRO Chairman Dr. K. Sivan in Bengaluru today. The ISRO chairman said the Indian Space Research Organization wants to offer manufacturing of PSLV and small satellite launch vehicles along with small satellites to private industries. More from our correspondent.
The 3 days Bangalore Space Expo event will bring under one roof all the stakeholders of the Indian space program. It will work together to increase private industry role in Indian space program. The engineering students are also invited to the expo so that they can take up production of microsatellites and learn from it. ISRO chairman Dr. K. Sivan has hoped that by 2020, the industries will be in position to play a major role as partners of ISRO. The main attraction of the expo is a space capsule on display that ISRO had sent to outer space and retrieved back again. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
Swachh Bharat Abhiyan contains 2 submissions. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan Gramin or Rural, which operates under the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation, and Swachh Bharat Abhiyan Urban, which operates under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. In J&K, the mission is being implemented with enthusiasm to achieve the target. Here is a ground report from our Srinagar correspondent.
Abdul Ghani Malik from Halka Panzinara in Kamarwari Panchayat in rural Srinagar is happy with the toilets set up at his house as part of campaign to eliminate open defecation menace.
पहले तो गंदगी हुआ था, बाहर जाना पड़ता था पेशाब करने के लिए खुले में, इसलिए हमारे गांव में उससे बहुत फायदा हुआ सफाई का और सबको मिला ये फायदा उसका स्वच्छ भारत का। पहले तो बीमारी होती थी, गंदगी होती थी, जब हमने वो बनाया था, लेट्रिन बनाया था, उससे बहुत फायदा मिला था।
Nazira Begum from Waliwar in Lar block of Central Kashmir's Ganderbal district also expressed her satisfaction over setting up of individual household latrine at her residential house under Swachh Bharat Abhiyan.
पहले गंदगी बहुत थी, जब ये बन गया सुथरीमा भी हो गया और जो जवान लड़कियां जाती थी वो टेंशन था हम माँ बाप को। ये काम बहुत अच्छा है।
State Mission Director of Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin, Indu Kamal Chip, described the ongoing work under mission as satisfactory. She said the mission is heading towards its target and objectives in a befitting manner. Tariq Rathar, AIR News, Srinagar.
Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant today said mobility is the next frontier and will be a key driver of jobs in India. He was briefing media on MOVE, the Global Mobility Summit in New Delhi today. Mr. Kant said mobility comprises movement and seamless interconnectivity across various modes of transport.
Our challenge is to first put batteries on two-wheelers, put batteries on three-wheelers, ensure cleaner fuels like ethanol, methanol, CNG, LNG for buses and for lorries, and push the sharing and connected world on four-wheelers.
Mr. Kant stressed the need to reduce oil import, vehicular pollution, and enhance public transport and last-mile connectivity. He said the Mobility Conference is a huge opportunity to leapfrog as there is an inevitable global disruption through electric mobility. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu will visit the United States of America on the occasion of 125th anniversary of Swami Vivekananda's historic speech at the Parliament of the World Religions in 1893. An official release said the Vice President will address the Second World Hindu Congress being held in Chicago on 8th and 9th of September. Mr. Naidu will participate in a program organized by 14 Telugu associations of the U.S. He will also participate in bilateral discussions with several world leaders who are attending this event on the sidelines of this Congress. In Japan, a powerful 6.6 magnitude quake struck in the northern Japanese island of Hokkaido early today. The quake left 8 people dead and about a dozen missing. It also damaged homes and triggered landslides. Moments after the initial quake, an aftershock measuring 5.3 hit the area, followed by dozens of aftershocks. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, after an emergency cabinet meeting, said the government will do their best to save lives. Around 20,000 rescue workers, including police and members of the self-defense forces, were involved in relief work. Jammu and Kashmir State Administrative Council, SAC, has approved formation of a joint venture between the centre and the state government for development of 850 megawatt Ratle hydroelectric project, HEP. HEP will be transferred to the state within the period of 7 years from the start of commercial operation of the project. The sanction was accorded in a meeting of the SAC chaired by Governor Satyapal Malik. The official spokesman said the hydropower projects have not remained attractive investment portfolios for private investors due to long gestation periods, coupled with relief and rehabilitation issues and higher initial capital investment. He said that the joint venture is the best route now to realize the potential of the Ratle HEP. Indian Navy ships and aircraft had arrived in Sri Lanka to take part in the joint exercise SLENEX 2018 to be held with Sri Lankan Navy at Trikonamali from tomorrow. The exercise, which was previously held biannually, has been converted to an annual event from this year to enhance cooperation in the maritime domain and to further strengthen mutual trust and interoperability between the two navies. The scope of the week-long exercise has been significantly increased this year, with 3 ships, 2 maritime patrol aircraft and 1 helicopter participating from the Indian side. Sri Lanka Air Force personnel would also join in the exercise for the first time. The exercise, to be conducted in 2 phases, namely the harbour and sea phase, will involve conduct of joint training, exchange of expertise, helicopter and maritime patrol aircraft operations, search and rescue and manoeuvres at sea. The benchmark domestic stocks today logged marginal losses for 4th session this week in afternoon trade following the negative global trade. Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange lost 24 points to trade below the 38,000 level at 37,994. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange was also down 14 points to trade below 11,500 mark at 11,463. In US Open, Novak Djokovic today entered men's singles semi-final, defeating John Millman of Australia. Nadal beat Millman in straight sets 6-3, 6-4, 6-4. Millman tested Djokovic for over 3 hours, and there were some long points, with 1 point producing a 27-shot rally. Djokovic has reached the semi-finals in each year he has played at the US Open since 2007. The Serbian will now face Kei Nishikori of Japan in the semi-final on Saturday. Nishikori entered the last 4 of the tournament, defeating 7th-seed Croatian Marin Cilic in a 5-set match 2-6, 6-4, 7-6, 4-6, 6-4. In women's singles, Madison Keys of US has entered the semi-finals, defeating Carla Suarez Navarro 6-4, 6-3. The 14th-seed Keys will take on 19th-seed Naomi Osaka of Japan in the semi-final. Osaka becomes the first Japanese woman to reach a Grand Slam semi-final in more than 2 decades. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Telangana Cabinet proposes dissolution of the State Assembly. Supreme Court strikes down partly Section 377 of the IPC, which criminalized gay sex. 2+2 dialogue between India and the US underway in New Delhi. President Ram Nath Kovind meets Bulgarian Prime Minister Boyko Borisov, also unveils a statue of Mahatma Gandhi in Sofia. India Meteorological Department forecast heavy to very heavy rainfall across Odisha in next 24 hours. The 6th edition of the biennial Bengaluru Space Expo, showcasing industry participation in Indian space program, begins in Bengaluru. And in US Open, Novak Djokovic enters men's singles semi-final, defeating John Millman of Australia. And with that, we end the Midday News.